Today I will be painting for you the story of Babel Tower, showing you the process as we discuss the historical inspiration behind the artwork, talking about the myths and other artists who informed my painting. Wait, what painting? Oh, this one. Ooh. The Babel Tower is found in this little text called the Bible, the Book of Genesis, to be specific. And as I paint the Babel city, I find my mind caught between two worlds, one of the past and the future. My inspiration for today is Peter Bruegel's Babel, teeming heavy and doomed by a lack of shared language. Then there is the darker, modern echo of Zdzisław Beksiński, where structures look more like bone rather than stone. Between Bruegel's climb and Beksiński's decay lies the story of every empire, including perhaps our own. Hello, my name is Kasia, and welcome back to my channel. Let's get started. If you'd like to support me as an artist and you're interested in the artwork that I've created in this video, I've got some prints available on my brand new website and it's linked below, along with some of the other paintings and even handmade jewellery. So if you come from this video, you can use the code BABEL for 10% off on the artwork painted by me. I start with a burnt sienna wash, as I start most of my paintings, laying down a loose sketch using a tissue, not pencil, because I like to work in tones. So this is where turpentine really comes in handy, softening everything, keeping it flexible. In these early stages, I keep the paint thin. Later, I'll introduce linseed oil for thicker layers. Also, it's difficult to change your mind when working with thick, oily layers. Remember, you can't change your mind when you stick to the thick being oily linseed oil, of course. I map out the figure, wrapped, almost dissolving, and block in the tower. I'm not chasing perfect accuracy here, no, I am being loose. I'm open to mistakes, I can always rub them out, and I'm just aiming to make this balanced, keeping the composition centered, feeling it out as I go. I move back and forth, drawing with the brush or with my tissue, and then blending and redefining. Finding light, finding shadow, finding the figure. So I try and form all the muscles to make it more believable, but I always keep a sketch or a picture ready for general referencing. But at this stage, I'm just finding the form of my eyes and the light on the canvas. I'm focusing on the person a lot at the moment. This is my foundation. This is my earth. And the part of Babel Tower, really, that we are presenting here. Because my version of Babel isn't just about height. It's about layers of time, of architecture, structure, technology, and, of course, humanity. The story begins just after the floods subside, and Noah's Ark struck dry land. On this land, people come together to build a city meant to reach the heavens. The Tower of Babel is known for explaining the division of language and how we've all come to talk in a different tongue. However, at this point in the tale, descendants of Noah have worked in union to build this new civilization. So what goes wrong in this ancient utopia? Over time, especially now, the Tower of Babel has come to represent a little bit more than just a biblical event. I think it represents social structure and the problem of centralized power. So what goes wrong in this ancient utopia? let me just tell you a little Bible story. You can hear the passage from the Old Testament, and it's really not that long. The whole earth had the same language and vocabulary. As people migrated from the east, they found a valley in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. They said to each other, "Come, let us make oven-fired bricks." They used bricks for stone and asphalt for mortar. And they said, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the sky. Let us make a name for ourselves, otherwise we will be scattered throughout the earth." Their ambition had no end, and after generations of deprivation and floods, descendants of Noah aimed to reach heavens and match God. But let's not end the chapter here. We have a painting to do. The painting is going problem-free so far, and I'm moving on to the foundations of my Babel Tower, which of course is my human giant figure. Ancient, powerful Prometheus, partially submerged. In Greek mythology, Prometheus stole fire from Zeus to give back to humans, hence enabling the civilization. An otherworldly steward, if you may. Now, of course, Prometheus isn't in the Bible, and it's not in the Babel story. However, I feel like it's a perfect representation of building from kindness and building from earth and taking resources from natural world and then exploiting it and ruining it. Here I'm thinking of the floods from Noah's Ark story and the beginning of Babel Tower. But I'm also considering our own threat of flooding in the current day. So that's the reference to water. Through time, villages, cities have sunk into the sea, forgotten and abandoned. Famously, Venice is feared to be submerged by 2150, and referring to Global Flood Database, you can safely assume we are struggling with raising levels of water. It's no secret. I've placed the city on the back of the giant though, representing our own gentle yet powerful humanity, the infrastructure of our own current digital empires that's resting on the back of millions in deep sleep, vulnerable, exploited, and slowly being submerged by the very systems that they are supporting. Working day in and day out, feeding, nourishing, and growing our families, our cities, our villages, and at what costs. At this stage, I was thinking a lot about the tower. So what would it look like? I had no references, I had no idea what I was going to do, and I've smudged and wiped a lot through this process. What am I doing? So I looked a lot at Peter Bruegel's painting. When people picture the Tower of Babel, they're often unknowingly picturing Bruegel's version. Bruegel painted the Tower of Babel in 1563. Actually, more than once. He painted it 3 times. First, it looked rather careful and idealized. The second tower, the most famous one I would say, is crumbling on itself, whereas the third has been lost with time and still remains a mystery. Bruegel lived during the Renaissance, a time when Europe itself was fractured by language, politics, religion, and empires. His tower doesn't look biblical, it looks Roman. Originally from Belgium, yes, not from Italy, Bruegel is known to have visited Rome and seen the towering structure. Peter must have been mesmerized by the Colosseum, as the resemblance is uncanny in his painting, and you can really see the influence. A symbol of imperial power, engineering, and human ambition, it's a very clear choice for Peter Bruegel. And that choice matters, because the Colosseum, even in Bruegel's time, in mid-1500s, has already been crumbling and being considered a ruin. remedies of the Roman Empire, essentially. A memory of power that's still haunting Europe now, I would say. His depictions blend this classical ruined structure with contemporary Flemish landscapes to symbolize human arrogance, vanity, and the futility of ambitious construction. It was important to me that architecturally the painting is inspired by layers and layers of time. First, actually, when I was doing my sketches, I even included the pyramids, but then I realized very quickly that it looked like crap. So let me run you through my architectural plan. Let's start with the lower back. Small, cold, winded terrace houses are etched into the figure, built overlooking a small lighthouse, the only indication of light in this dark spot. Walking distance to the neighbouring factories, blowing smoke into the city, luckily away from all the people living there. Houses create a visual illusion of stairs leading to the main gate. In terms of scale, they make absolutely zero sense, but I love playing with perspective. Are these steps, or are they houses meant for a giant to walk all over them to climb into the city, as a result crumbling all of the infrastructure underneath? Or is this climb just an illusion? Further up, at the crown of the head, sits a medieval church. It's a small communal anchor for this dystopian world. Around, more dwellings, some crumbling under the corrosion of the elements, their walls barely supporting the weight of the rain and the wind, and the lives that live there. Despite this epic scale, life here is pretty standard. Sleep, work, eat, and most of all, survive. I wanted to see how this city naturally comes out of me, but to understand the vibe of the city, we have to look at the moment the blueprint was torn up. In the old texts, Babel isn't a story of a slow decline. It's a story of a sudden, sharp intervention. Then the Lord came down to look over the city and the tower that the humans were building. The Lord said, "If they have begun to do this as one people, all having the same language, then nothing they plan to do will be impossible for them. Come, let's go down there and confuse their language, so that they will not understand one another's speech." So from there, the Lord scattered them throughout the earth, and they stopped building the city. Therefore, it is called Babylon, for there the Lord confused the language of the whole earth. And from there, the Lord scattered them throughout the earth. The story of Babel is often reduced to simple explanations for why humans speak different languages. But I think the fear of God, or the people inside this story, runs deeper than just vocabulary. God doesn't destroy the tower with fire or flood. He divides the people. The shared language had become shared ambition, shared direction, almost a singular human will. And maybe that's the real warning of Babel. What happens when humanity grows so unified in its ambition that it begins to believe there are no limits left at all? To go to the city, we pass through giant gates illuminated by the sun, reflecting God's blessing, or maybe a warning. Following the same glow, you will be led through faint city with buildings racing over each other to reach heavens. And if your eye continues following the light, you'll find a fire resembling the sun. Look at the base of the painting. My giant isn't just a foundation, he's a Prometheus figure. In the myths, Prometheus stole fire to give us a future. It was the ultimate gift of technology, the spark of civilization. But fire is a double-edged sword. It warms your home, but it also levels the forests. And as I glaze these flames at the summit, I'm thinking about our own stolen fire. Our rapid, relentless tech. We've reached a point where our tools outpace our wisdom. The fire at the top isn't just a light anymore. It's a warning. We've built a digital empire so tall, so fast, that we've forgotten how to keep the heat from consuming the structure. While Bruegel gave me the blueprint, Zdzisław Beksiński gave me the texture and the organic life of a still structure. So if you aren't familiar with his work, Zdzisław Beksiński was a Polish master of dystopian surrealism. He didn't name his paintings, he didn't even like to interpret them, he just painted what he called photographic dreams. I connected with Beksiński through his archived videos, and in my bubble, you can see the ghost in the organic decay. Notice how the city doesn't just sit on the giant, it seems to be erupting from the skin, etched into it, grown from it. There's a profound shadowy reality in Beksiński's work that fits our modern bubble quite well. His worlds are vast, but they are very empty. It's the silence of a structure that was built for millions, but now houses no one. Beksiński's structures often look like they are made of bone and dried sinew, like ancient dust. I didn't want this painting to feel oily or luscious. I wanted to emulate that grey dryness, like the whole thing has been sitting there for centuries, slowly even growing out of the dust itself. To get that effect, I use a dry brush technique, painting with much drier paint and barely using any linseed oil or white spirit really. Just keep it dry. I'll leave sections for an hour or so, then come back and blend them with a dry brush, repeating the process until the surface feels right and it's kind of what I'm after. I'm at the finishing stages now, slowly pulling the world into focus. The perspective sits in that strange liminal space, somewhere between land and water. I'm using a bluish-white glaze and smudging the edges to create a sense of vast humid distance, but I wanted to add one more small detail, a little fishing hut, tucked into the darkness. I've always loved these little huts with a single fishing spot. It suggests a humble, quiet existence. Someone living their life unnoticed while the rest of the world races towards the clouds. And that is my version of the Tower of Babel. Looking back at where the painting started compared to where it ended up, it became far darker than I originally expected. I thought I'd take more of a modern route with it, something cleaner, sharper, maybe even futuristic. But the more I researched the Babel story, Bruegel popped up, and then I went down the Baksinski rabbit hole, and the history of cities themselves, of Shinar, and the more I realized modernity never really stands alone. It's always built on layers of older architecture, older beliefs, older ruins, and every new empire still carries the bones of the last one underneath it. This painting slowly became less about the future and more about accumulation of time, ambition, technology, labour, faith, and the collapse of it all. A city growing out of humanity itself, while simultaneously consuming it. And honestly, I'm really proud of where it landed. It feels heavier, maybe a little bit stranger, and more human than I imagined at the start. And that's the wrap on the painting and the story. If you'd like to support my work beyond watching this video, prints of this piece are available on my website, Kasia Art. It's a brand new website and it's linked below, alongside some of my other paintings and even handmade jewellery from sea glass that I found on the beaches nearby. And if you come from this video, you can use the code BABEL for 10% off prints from this piece. So thank you for spending this time with me. Genuinely, it's been really special finally sharing not just the finished artwork, but the thinking and stories behind it too. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to subscribe, leave your thoughts below, or let me know what myth, painting, or story I should explore next. See you in the next one, and happy painting!